Hi, I'm Timothy Ord, owner, market analysis, and author. I'm the president of the Ord Oracle also. The picture in the middle is The Secret Science of Price and Volume, which I wrote back in 2009, and it is published in China. So you can actually buy my book, read how I analyze the markets. And it's a good book, one of the better selling books in China. So anyhow, let's get started. We do have a forum coming up, the BOGU forum in September. And this is kind of a prelude of what to expect on our seminar, or excuse, it'll be our webinar. We do a lot of stuff with analysis on price and volume. And this is just a tidbit of what you can expect to find on that webinar. This is the chart shown here is the FXI, which is iShares China large cap. So this is the monthly chart of the China large cap ETF, exchange traded fund. And this chart goes back to about mid 2017. If you notice, we drew a trend line across here around 35. And for the last several years until this year, that 35 range held as support. What we're going to point out on this chart is the monthly chart is the RSI. In a nutshell, when RSI is above 50, market's considered an uptrend, and this is the blue part. When RSI is below 50, it's considered a downtrend, and that's these pink parts. And if you notice, we got an RSI on the monthly chart fell below the 50 area back in July of last year. So the market's officially been in a downtrend to at least July of last year. And right now, as you can see, the RSI is still below 50. So RSI speaking, this market is still in a downtrend. So now let's go with volume. We do have an indicator called the selling climax, the buying climax. We'll show you the selling climax first. We'll explain what that is. Well, selling climax is when volume basically doubles from the months before. And what that means is the market reached a selling climax. It stops the decline. So the bigger the selling climax there is, in other words, how high the volume is compared to the previous volumes, the more important that selling climax is. If you notice, going back here for the last several years, this is the biggest selling climax we had. So this is a very important selling climax. We did have one back in March of 2020, which did mark a low. It broke below that 35 support, but it closed above it and market went up. The volume didn't actually double compared to the previous times, but it was up probably eyeballing at 30–40%. This one that we had in March of this year did double. This volume here is double of the previous months. And so this is a very important candle, I guess you might say. So that ends the decline. So either we move sideways here or we actually reverse and go up. So as it sits right now, the monthly doesn't really give a good clue of what to do next. So you look at monthly first, you know right now that the downtrend is in it, but you don't know if it's going to go sideways or reverse up. So you do the monthly charts first. So we know downtrend's ending. So you look next through the weeklies, and after weeklies, you look at the dailies. So next, we're going to go to the weekly charts. Weekly charts kind of similar. You got a sell signal because the RSI fell below 50 on the weekly charts, and you got a sell signal back in March of last year, 2021, and remains on a sell signal because RSI is still below 50 as we're putting this update on. This is a weekly FXI, gives different information. So you had a selling climax on the monthly charts going down, but look what you have on the weekly. You have a buying climax because volume basically doubles compared to weeks before. Here's another, this is a selling climax. If you notice, this flipped the market kind of sideways for, since August to about November. So that stopped the decline. It went sideways for 3-4 months. And then finally started going down again. This one here, on a monthly, you got a selling climax, stops the decline. Here, on a weekly, you got a buying climax. So that stops the advance. So the market tried to go up, couldn't go up, fell back down, goes back up here again, and looks what happens. Now we're getting into volume analysis. When you test a previous swing high and volume follows 8% or greater and tests up the previous high, that high remains resistance. So guess what happened? We did the volume percentage here, and this high tested this high, and volume did drop 8%. So that means the market stops. It's resistance, so it can't go higher. So what does it do? Well, if the market can't go above a previous high, it'll go try to go. The target would be to the next swing low. Well, the next swing low is this low right here. And today, today's Thursday night, and and that volume on the close today for the week, counting Thursday, is 149 million shares. Well, this low we had here would be 5 weeks ago was 238 million shares. Well, the trouble is week's not over yet. Tomorrow is another trading day, and you'll have volume on tomorrow trading. So if volume comes in, say 50 million shares, this weekly volume will still be less than 238 million shares we had on this day. Oops, sorry. So this week rather. So 200 million shares is about 15% lighter volume. That still qualifies. Volume only needs to be 8% or greater. Well, we have close to, if volume comes in at 50 million shares, that'll be around 15% less volume compared to the volume that we had this week. So that implies this will be support. And we think that's probably what's going to happen. Again, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but if tomorrow holds in this range and volumes comes in 50 million shares or less, this area will be support, which is around eyeball. It looks like about 31. If you notice, RSI comes in at 43 on tonight's close, still below 50, but awful close to 50. Again, if tomorrow comes in, say 50 million shares, we'll have 200 million shares for the week, and that works out about 15% lighter volume. That'll imply support. And so on a weekly time frames, if the market does bounce, which we do think it will, most likely the RSI will be above 50 by the time this 35 range will be tested. Well, if the weekly RSI is above 50, that changes the weekly to an uptrend. So that would be a bullish situation on a weekly time frame. So we don't know for sure what's going to happen here, but in our opinion, there will be probably our view, volume will probably be less than 50 million shares, and the weekly will generate a buy signal. So what comes next? Well, it's the daily charts. So now you're getting down to a daily charts, and here's what happened today. This daily chart here. If you notice, on the weekly time frames, this weekly test, this weekly high on 8% lighter volume. Excuse us. On a daily, this volume day here tested this volume day, and volume came in on a daily of 41%. So that was a pretty strong sell signal, I guess you might say, because volume extremely shrank compared to the previous swing high. So the market didn't have enough energy to get through this high. So it doesn't have enough energy to get through that high. What does it do? Well, it goes back. If it can't take out the previous high, it'll try to take out the previous low. Well, the previous low is this low. And so we tested that low today. Well, volume on this low right here was 49 million shares, which I have a line drawn there. Today, we tested that low. We actually broke. You have to break those lows. You can't just be close. You have to actually break it. We call it touch. You have to at least touch that low. And today we did touch that low. We fell through it by, I think, 3-4 cents. And volume came in 37 million shares. Well, if you do the the percentages of how decreased that is, that's about a 37% decrease in volume. That's a strong signal. So the market really doesn't have energy to push through this low. So that on a daily suggests support. And that's the reason why we're kind of saying, well, if the dailies are bullish here, most likely the weeklies will turn bullish too. Right now, the RSI on the daily is still below 50, but it looks like to us, if we don't rally tomorrow, in our opinion, we'll probably rally next week. And it depends how strong that rally is, what the market will do next. Ideally, you take the average daily volume on this downswing and you compare this to the average daily volume on this next potential upswing. If the next potential average daily volume to the upswing is higher on average than this downswing, this market's going to go push higher through the 35 resistance. And we think that market has a good chance of doing that over the next couple, 3 weeks. We'll have to wait and see, but in our opinion, this market volume analysis wise is looking bullish because the volume is testing previous lows on lighter volume. And most likely, if you don't bounce tomorrow, most likely we'll probably bounce next week. And that will be a bullish sign, because if the weeks turn up, that'll be bullish, a bullish sign, probably could be intermediate term. We think in July, looks like so far this month could be up and actually could follow through a little bit in August. We're starting to see September, seeing some weakness September, maybe October also, but it may come from a higher level is our point. But right now, it does look on a short-term basis, does look like we're going to attempt to rally out of here, possibly get back to 35, and possibly we could break 35. The more times you test the resistance area, if you notice, we tested this 35 range once, twice, 3 times. The next time up will be the 4th time. A lot of times you do break through the 4th time, so we'll have to wait and see. But if we rally up on a lighter volume, that 35 is going to be resistance, and you probably could just trade sideways here for a while. But if we go up to the previous high and volumes on average daily volumes pretty high, we may break through that 35 and possibly create a range between 35, possibly 39 range. So it's a little bit too soon to say. We more or less read the market, not predict the market. And volume is a way, along with a price, is a way to read the market. So test on a lighter volume, this is a decent buy signal. And so we'll see how it goes. But we think in general, we're going to rally from this region and we're going to start moving higher, possibly for the next week and maybe a little bit longer. Depends how much strength this rally has volume wise pushing up. So it'll be an important gauge how high this market will move. So, but it looks bullish on the weekly, daily, and we'll see how the monthly goes. But anyhow, that's our analysis. This is July 14th when we did this. So we're making a prediction here based on volume. So we'll see how that turns out in the coming weeks. Want expert advice on the China markets? Well, you can find us at Facebook, Twitter on Oracle, and my email address is tim@oracle.com. Our website is www.ord-oracle.com. If you have questions, we'd love to hear them. Send us an email and we'll respond. So thank you for coming, and we hope you enjoyed the video.